Aglorev Magazine Live is brought to you by
For Olga Leilani's Energy Exchange. Express yourself without saying a word.
and
Aglorev Entertainment. Mind, body, soul, energy healing.
You made it. Welcome back to Aglorev Magazine Live, your reliable source for assistance with navigating the 3D. And with Trump, the 3D is feeling mildly unstable. But I've got some astrological guidance to give you something to look forward to. Are you sick of dating apps and want to try mingling IRL? Well, I've got some advice that will help you in making that transition go more smoothly. Another Dusty is trying to make a profit off of the back of our beloved Britney Spears. A second No King's Peaceful protest is planned for this weekend. What you should know. Did you know that the Golden Bachelor had flavour? Dancing with the Stars is starting to show chemistry. The Amazing Race completes another leg. Survivor has a health scare. And Love is Blind releases its second set of episodes with concentrated red flags. Another fun film recommendation. And then I'm going to touch you in places that you haven't used in a while. Your heart and funny bone. What were you thinking? We are about to go through the craziest Scorpio season we've ever seen. So if you're not ready, you need to get ready. This is the first and only Scorpio season like this that we will see during our lifetimes, where Pluto and Aquarius are in Aquarius for the entire season. We also have the dark moon, Mars, and Mercury, currently in Scorpio. Scorpio season starts on the 23rd. We have time. Scorpio season brings unpredictable changes. You won't really know what will happen, or what will grow, or what will disappear. Scorpio season is death and rebirth, both. So what disappears? What's coming in? How do you feel? This major transformation is right around the corner. But you can't put your finger on it. You can't really chat about it yet. This idea, this transformation, this thing that is floating up within the ethers that you just cannot access yet. Because it's not Scorpio season yet. It's mad. But we're almost there, which is terrific. The other thing to know is structures in your life will change. Hierarchies. 10th house Capricorn placements, Saturn related things will shift a wee bit. Also, another thing to note about this particular Scorpio season is if we look at what's happening with the eclipses, Neptune and Saturn, which are together right now. Unpredictable spiritual changes will occur. There will be a lot of spiritual consecration, manifestation, alterations. This is harvest time. Spiritual practitioners have a leg up right now. Are you doing the work? Not just putting out wishes and asking for things. Are you actually working towards it? Because the work works. And we have an advantage in comparison to non-spiritual people. People who have no spiritual structure or spiritual practice, who get to decide the direction of things. Which is mad, really. This year's spiritual practices have accrued the entire year. And it's spiritual tax season. So, what have you already paid towards this transformation? It's almost Scorpio season. Payments are due. And Pluto just officially stationed direct. Pluto symbolizes transformation, changes, depth, intensity, death, rebirth, creation, destruction, subtly influencing the world, our society as a whole. We are indirectly influenced by Pluto, as we are all a part of the same society. When there are major cultural, political, or economic shifts, we as individuals in our personal lives feel those shifts. Pluto has the power to create profound, solidifying change for the collective. Watching and observing Pluto's movements is like watching the eye of a storm move. It travels slowly, secretively, and obsessively. It builds in intensity, and it surrounds itself with powerful amounts of change. So on October 13th, Pluto finally stationed direct in Aquarius after a 5-month retrograde. And Pluto's retrograde through Aquarius was an evacuation of the shadows surrounding our society. We were slowly observing from May to October our digital dependencies and the outdated institutions that are unethical or not carried by integrity. We also noticed old power dynamics, invisible power dynamics, constructs that no longer suit our society's evolution. This was Pluto's first retrograde staying in Aquarius. Pluto's descent was to show us the collective patterns that have been quietly or secretly shaping our modern world. Since May of last year to now, we have been slowly and quietly unraveling the illusion of progress. We've been questioning the system that we've built, and we've slowly peeled back the layers of conditioning as a society. And now that Pluto is finally direct, we're given the green light and the electric energy to create the change for the future that we wish to see. Both our personal and collective realities are going to change immensely. I hope that these transformations that we witness will be for the greater good. If you would like to explore how this energy affects you directly, contact me through my site. I don't know about your dating life struggles, but all of my clients have had a tumultuous time with dating apps. And most of them can't be bothered. And I began to think, perhaps people just don't know how to connect in real life anymore. So I made a list of tips to create more opportunities to meet people in real life without feeling awkward or scared. Firstly, you'll need to get off your phone. Take your earbuds out, make eye contact with people, and smile. Secondly, get more involved with your local community. Go to fun events, such as a cinema night, food markets, charity events, music or sporting events, and move towards what gives you energy. What do you enjoy doing? Do more of that. Join groups with activities you're into. You're more likely to form connections when you're happy. Then you will on an app where anything can be fabricated. Please remember, this isn't about going somewhere to solely meet people you fancy. You never know where it will lead. Also, join a queue. Yes, a queue. At a club, a pub, coffee shop. Your choice. Whatever makes you most happy and comfortable. Statistics say that people hate queuing, and they'll happily have a conversation to alleviate the time. So get behind someone fit. Also, you could join a gym and participate in their events. Chat to the people. Plan and book a solo or group holiday somewhere you've always wanted to go. Say yes to invites with promising networking possibilities. Is your type of partner going to be in attendance? And if you're not clear on what your type is, contact me through my site. Now, if you trust your friends and family, I hope that all of your relationships are healthy, and trust that they will not feel a sense of ownership over your new budding relationship and continually meddle once it's established. Ask the people you know for a stress-free introduction to someone they feel might be a good match, like a group gathering or function. Start conversation with strangers, always in group settings and in public areas with property insurance. Remember to always date safely. And there are two main ways in being open to meeting people outside of dating apps. First is being the initiator. This takes the most practice, but is the most rewarding. The other is the receiver. This one requires the most open-mindedness. Not everyone likes to be the one to start the conversation and break the ice. It takes a second to warm up. We must be prepared for rejection. And the most common forms of rejection are someone being unavailable unemotionally or physically. They're in a relationship or not in the dating headspace. Most of the time, the rejection has nothing to do with us and everything to do with the person we're chatting to. Practice builds confidence. After a few attempts, you'll realize the goal isn't making the perfect match. It's the dopamine hit of making an organic connection in whatever form it manifests. Release the pressure. Tap into what makes honest connections. Living and being open to conversations brings us into our receiver role. Now, this role is much more crucial than it appears. Simply being open to conversation isn't always easy. We can't be quick to judge and shy away from someone who makes a cold introduction. Think about all the times in a club or out with our friends when we avoided eye contact or shut down conversation because they weren't our type. These habits unconsciously shut us off from future connections. We don't have to date everyone we connect with. Some people are practice. Creating a connection lies with our energy. We can make an intentional choice to be open to meeting someone new. Start by engaging with the community. This will make you more comfortable and receptive to conversations. Initiator or receiver. To meet people, someone outside of the apps, you need to learn how to communicate without technology. A real connection starts by making the intention to say hello. And if you need help navigating the dating world, contact me through my site. Kevin Federline's new memoir, You Thought You Knew, contains 2 alleged text messages from his ex-wife Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. According to a copy of the book obtained by E! News, Kevin Federline is detailing his relationship with ex-wife Britney Spears' family in his new memoir, You Thought You Knew. The proposed rapper shared 2 lengthy text messages his wife, Victoria Prince, allegedly received from Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. After the circus singer's controversial conservatorship was terminated in November 2021, in one message, Jamie Lynn, 34, shared her reaction to Britney lashing out online towards her and Kevin's sons, Sean Preston, 20, and Jaden James, 19, according to a copy of the book obtained by E! News. Honestly, this makes me want to cry, because I feel for those boys so much. The text, reportedly from Jamie Lynn to Victoria, said, I'm her little sister by 10 years, and I can't imagine what her actual children must feel like at times. But I am familiar with the feeling of being a dinghy, trying to survive in a wave caused by another ship, feeling like you have to rescue yourself. According to Kevin, 47, the Zoe 101 album said she started to resent Britney, 43, for the way her sons were affected by her, how she treated them, accusing the Grammy winner of being incapable of taking accountability for certain circumstances. Britney Spears' first husband, Jason Alexander, had a personal message for Kevin Federline. Amid the claims included in his book, You Thought You Knew, you don't get to tell half the story. Jason Alexander isn't buying Kevin Federline's story. Britney Spears' longtime friend and first husband is speaking out amid claims, including Kevin Federline's forthcoming book, You Thought You Knew, noting that you can't stay silent. It's easy to point fingers now, to talk about Britney's struggles like you were just some innocent bystander watching it all happen, Jason wrote in an October 15 Instagram post, set to Jelly Roll and Post Malone's song, Losers. But that's not what went down. You were her husband. You were supposed to be her protector. Alongside the post that included a meme of Kevin, Jason wrote, "You were there for all of it." He added, "You weren't trying to pull her out. You were feeding off of it." Jason, 44, who was married to the singer for 48 hours before their marriage was annulled in 2004, also hinted at the dynamic between Britney and Kevin, who shared kids. Sean Preston, 20, and Jaden James, 19. Jason went on to write in part, "If you're going to write a book, at least have the guts to tell the truth about it, about your part in it. The night you partied. The times you turned your own back." He went on to add, "You played the game, and now you want to act like the mature one, like the man who held it all together." Jason ended the message with a call for Kevin to take accountability for his part in their 3-year marriage, which ended in 2007. Britney has been through enough, and it's always men trying to profit from her story whilst ignoring the damage that they helped cause, Jason said. "You wanted to tell your side fine, but don't pretend you were the victim or the hero. Be real, be accountable, because those of us who were really there, who actually cared about her, not the fame, we remember how it really went down, and we're not buying the rewrite." E! News has reached out to Kevin's reps, who declined to comment on his book. Out October 21st. Kevin has included several allegations about his ex, including a claim that Britney stood in their son's room holding a knife whilst they were sleeping. The former dancer also made claims that the baby One More Time singer's current state. The truth is, this situation with Britney feels like it's racing towards something irreversible. Kevin writes in the memoir, "It's become impossible to pretend everything is okay on her part." However, Britney broke her silence on her ex's hurtful book and claims about her strained relationship with her sons. "I have felt demoralized by the situation and have always asked and almost begged for them to be a part of my life." The sometime singer wrote on X October 15th, "Sadly, they have always witnessed the lack of respect shown by their father for me. They need to take responsibility for themselves," condemning Kevin's book as filled with white lies. Britney added, "I am the only one who genuinely gets hurt here." Though he did briefly meet Britney back when he was a backup dancer for her tour opener, IFO. Kevin said that he didn't really get to know the singer until they ran into each other at Joseph's, a Hollywood nightclub, during a night out with mutual friends in April 2004. "We talked for a little while and then hit the dance floor," Kevin recalled. "Nothing too wild, just a little playful back and forth. Honestly, at the time, in my 25-year-old mind, I was just thinking about smashing that." The two then took the party to the Beverly Hills Hotel, where Kevin said he and Britney hung out by the hot tub at her private bungalow as their friends swam the pool. Then, whilst everyone was still swimming, Britney got out of the hot tub and grabbed my arm and led me into the bungalow. Kevin wrote, "As soon as we got into the bungalow, Britney turned around, slipped off her underwear, and started kissing me, tearing up my clothes with both hands. We stumbled toward the bed whilst I struggled to kick my pants off my ankles." He added, "What happened between us that night was purely physical. It felt like we were feeding off of each other's energy, caught in the whirlwind of chemistry and connection. Very passionate, very intense. In response to Kevin's book, Britney publicly addresses the memoir as extremely hurtful and exhausting. Her rep previously told E! News that all Britney cares about are her kids, Sean Preston and Jaden James, and their well-being during this sensationalism. Kevin said he and Britney were holed up in her hotel bungalow for days before paparazzi caught wind of their romance during a beach outing. The photos eventually made their way to Shay, who was pregnant with her and Kevin's second baby together. When I finally called her, I remembered pacing the floor, heart pounding, Kevin wrote. I told her about Britney, about the connection we had and how I couldn't ignore it. I could hear the heartbreak in her voice and the pain it caused. She was angry, but under the anger was something deeper, a sadness I couldn't undo. Looking back, Kevin acknowledged that he should have been more upfront about how unhappy he was in his relationship with Shay. I let things unravel instead of facing them head on, he said. I told myself the distance would make things easier, but it just delayed the inevitable. By the time we spoke, it was too late. I had already let her piece together the truth on her own. The photos of Britney and me on the beach helped. When Kevin joined Britney on the European leg of her 2004 Onyx tour, he was admittedly already catching real feelings. So he was quite surprised when he says he walked in on Britney and a female dancer in a hotel room in Amsterdam. Britney stood between her legs, hands on her face, and they were effing going at it, full on making out, Kevin wrote in his memoir. It was one of those moments that hit you so fast that your brain can't even begin to process it. Kevin said he immediately walked out of the room to book a flight home. But Britney started apologizing. She told me she didn't realize how serious I was about us, that she was overwhelmed and it had been a mistake. Kevin shared, describing the discussion as a turning point in their relationship. It was our first fight, or whatever you want to call it. I think it was the moment she realized I wasn't there for the fame or the perks. I was only there for her. According to the dancer, Britney brought up the idea of marriage whilst they were flying back to the United States from the European leg of her tour there. We were sitting in first class, sipping cocktails, chatting about life, and then bam, she was casually, or maybe not so casually, proposing to me, he remembered. He kind of laughed, played cool, and told her no. Kevin said Britney looked a little bit shocked, and the couple didn't speak about it again until after her knee surgery in June 2004, when she had to cancel the remaining dates of her tour for surgery. I thought about what she'd said on the plane, wrote Kevin, who stayed with Britney as she recovered. I kept playing it in my head, wondering if I'd made a mistake, brushing it off by the time she was well enough to think about flying again. I finally worked up the nerve to ask her the question she'd asked me weeks earlier. He didn't even have a ring, Kevin continued. It all started as a simple, heartfelt conversation in mutual acknowledgement of what we wanted and where we were going. We were just two people sitting together deeply in the moment, deciding that this was it. We were getting married. It breaks my heart that so many men have tried to profit off of your pain, Britney. My healing energy goes out to you during this hurtful time. Activists and advocacy groups are all staging a second round of No Kings protest across the country on Saturday in response to what they call an abuse of power by President Donald Trump and his administration, including his immigration crackdown and his sending troops into American cities. Organizers predict millions will take part. Republicans are trying to brand the protests as Hate America rallies and claim they're prolonging the federal government shutdown. Here's what to know. The day-long No Kings protest set for October 18th follow up on the thousands held in mid-June that are being run by a coalition of organizations including the American Civil Liberties Union, Indivisible, 50501, and others. Organizers say there are more than 2,600 events planned nationwide, including major cities such as New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and Los Angeles, and say millions are expected to attend. They have been organized by regular people, by volunteers. Deirdre Sheffling, Chief Political and Advocacy Officer of the ACLU, told ABC News, whilst organizers have been released, details on fundraising ahead of the protests and the coalition has remained relatively decentralized. A few groups have inducted either heavy spending to promote the rallies or planned star power to increase buzz around them. For instance, Home of the Brave, a political group, said Monday it was spending $1 million to advertise the No Kings protest, including in local and national newspapers. Celebrities, including Jane Fonda, Kerry Washington, John Legend, Alan Cumming, John Leguizamo, are slated to attend, according to a fundraising email from the Political Action Committee. Progressive Change Campaign Committee will be in the streets for immigrant families under attack and for voters who are being silenced, for communities being terrorized by militarized policing, for families who are about to lose their health insurance, and for every single person whose rights are threatened by this administration's cruelty. The group wrote in the email in advance of Saturday's rallies, law enforcement is actively monitoring social media and the internet as well as working with local organizers and potential counter-protesting to get a sense of what will be expected. That vigilance comes as there continues to be heightened concerns about large-scale public gatherings, especially political events. Republicans have been slamming the protests, claiming that the protests are a reason the Democratic Party does not want to end the ongoing federal government shutdown. Senate Majority Leader John Thune asserted on Wednesday that Democrats are waiting to solve the funding issues until after Saturday's No King rally. The truth is, what Democrats really want is something Republicans can't give them, and that is the approval of their far-left base, Thune said. Republican leaders have also framed the No Kings rally protests as a series of Hate America rallies, framing the upcoming events as meant to criticize America and what it stands for. And I encourage you to watch. We call it the Hate America rally that will happen Saturday. House Speaker Mike Johnson told reporters on Wednesday. Let's see who shows up for that. I bet you see pro-Hamas supporters. I bet you see Antifa types. I bet you see the Marxists in full display. The people who don't want to stand and defend the foundation. No truths of this republic. Johnson did not provide any proof to support his claims that pro-Hamas supporters and Antifa types will show up. Organizers have said they cannot control who shows up to protest from outside groups and have emphasizing wanting to keep protests respectful and non-violent. In an interview taped with Fox News, Maria Bartiromo, Trump was asked about the rallies and he shot down that he was a king. They refer to me as a king. I am not a king, Trump said. state leaders have also said they are calling up more law enforcement in light of the protests, which supporters of the protests have said may be meant to suppress them. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, wrote on X on Thursday that he directed the Department of Public Safety and National Guard to send forces into Austin ahead of the rallies. Texas will not tolerate chaos. Anyone destroying property or committing acts of violence will be swiftly arrested. State Representative Jean Wu, who chairs the State House Democratic Caucus, wrote in response, sending armed soldiers in to suppress peaceful protests is what kings and dictators do. And Greg Abbott just proved he's one of them. Organizers have counted that Republicans in power are responsible for the ongoing shutdown and have said that Johnson and some other Republicans not saying the name of the protest is telling. I think it's really telling that he spent an entire week calling this a Hate America rally on the attack against this coalition and Americans across the country. And he won't even say the name of the protest. Lee Greenberg, co-executive director of Indivisible, one of the major groups in the No Kings Coalition, told reporters on a press call, that's because if you say the name of the protest, No Kings, the entire argument falls apart. There is nothing more American than saying that we don't have kings and exercising our right to peaceful protests, Greenberg said. When asked if they thought the claim for Republican would impact participant turnout on Saturday, organizers said they think it could have the opposite effect. I think, if anything, it will increase turnout, said Shefflin. I think Americans can really see through these side attempts to distract attention from the failures of this Republican Congress people and Republican Trump administration to actually address what most Americans want and need. Ezra Levine, the co-executive director of Indivisible, told ABC News that he welcomes the publicity, but simultaneously believes Republicans are trying to stop Americans from exercising their First Amendment right. I think the Republicans and Trump see that the largest peaceful protest in modern American history is coming together on Saturday to push back against the authoritarian overreach by this regime and its supporters in Congress. And they're looking for ways to message against it ahead of time, he said. If you are going to be a part of it, make intelligent decisions and stay safe. Okay, so Love is Blind USA, second installment, season 9, is focusing now on the 4 couples. We have was it Edmund and Halibria, Nick and Annie, Megan and Jordan, and Madison and Joe. We are going to start with Madison and Joe. Now, Madison is the one who may go blind, is wealthy. Joe is we'll call him a Dusty. Now, as I said previously, this is a very attractive situation for a gold-digging fella, which Joe is kind of favoring at this point. You're telling him that you have money and you may go blind, and all he hears is, I will have control over your money. Let me put in my time. And that is kind of what it seems like is happening. Joe is seeing if he can stand living with her, putting up with her to get to the money until she is disabled, and then he has control over her. Ladies, please be careful of this. Do not lead with your disabilities. Let that, I know because of the circumstances of Love is Blind, which is also why this is a bad premise to meet someone, is because you are forced to put your vulnerabilities on the table. You're forced to be open and vulnerable. And yes, those are important when starting a committed relationship. However, you want to do those at the appropriate and right times, letting people know your wounds and how you were hurt and all of those things that make you vulnerable and able to be hurt again. Those are things you hold on to until you are sure. And unfortunately, for the premise of this show, you put them out there. So he knows all of her all the possible ways he can attack her and take advantage of her. Now, that being said, Madison feels this somehow. We always feel it. Our nervous system picks it up. Our gut, our heart, our regulator. We feel that energy, and she's acting out because of it. So she is forcing situations to be bigger than they actually are because she wants that energy and tension from him because she doesn't feel it. She instinctively does not feel it. She knows. He is unbothered because he doesn't really care. He is actually pretending, and he may have a chemical dependency. He's showing signs of that as well. Now, that coupled is making him actually the energetic vampire, or the black cat, if you will. And she is being drained because she keeps throwing her energy at him, looking for a response, and it makes her crazier and crazier and crazier, which is what happens for victims of energetic vampires, which we see a lot of, unfortunately. Now, unfortunately, he is draining her. He keeps balancing her out, breadcrumbing her, balancing her out, keeping her stringing along, because she's all in. Because to her, she's hit a gold mine. What she can see, because she still can see, is a beautiful man, and that's all she wants. Because right now, she's very aesthetically focused, because she feels she doesn't know when she will lose her sight. So everything she sees, she's focused on that, which is ironic that it's called Love is Blind, because that is making her more hyper-focused on her aesthetics. Now, unfortunately, she's doing it in the wrong way, which may actually push him away, which may actually be her protection, which sometimes, ladies, that is why your body makes you act crazy, or what the world called crazy, because it pushes away the thing that is toxic to you. It's just like a fever inside of your body attacking the germs. It's pushing it out. You acting crazy is pushing him away. If they are not meant for you, your behaviors are a tonic to push them away. So essentially what Madison is doing, her system feels it's under attack, because Joe is energetically siphoning her. She doesn't realize what's going on, so she's acting out, wanting to grab some emotion back from him, but inevitably it goes in reverse, because now her energy is dependent on his energy because she's acting out on that. He doesn't care, so he keeps receiving the energy. He starts to heal, he starts to thrive, she starts to get crazy, she starts to get depleted. That's what happens, regardless of whether people know they are energetic vampires. Does not make them less of an energetic vampire. That is what we are witnessing in that situation. And to be honest, if Joe were a female, they would call her a gold digger. So that's what we will say. Joe is a gigolo gold digger, and he is just waiting for her to go blind so he can have her money. That is the energy I get from that relationship. If they say yes, I'm frightened, because unfortunately that will probably be with their destiny. Hopefully her nervous system gets her to reject him out, push him away, and it won't work. Unfortunately, she may be upset for a small amount of time, but it's better than ruining the rest of her life. So hopefully her nervous system keeps getting her to pick at him, to push him away. Because otherwise, if he can handle it, he'll stick in there, he'll last out, because it's better than getting a job. Okay, which brings us to Megan and Jordan. They are only a step up from that situation, only throw in a sick child. And I'm sorry if that is not politically correct, and I'm sorry for all the people who think, oh, I need to help these children. But if you don't have responsibility, you don't have these problems, why are you going to acquire someone else's? Yes, it's love. Okay, sacrifice. We don't need to choose struggle love. That is a choice. Free will. Choice. And I'm not saying that would not be an ideal situation for someone. But in this situation, where she had a clear and free, energied, sexy, fit, and someone who would not use her for her money on the same level financially, which we are finding it's a problem with Jordan. And yet she chose the financially struggling father, single, that has a child with an illness and have to deal with a baby mum, which we find that the mother is very nice. However, for this time being, we don't know what will happen in the next few years. We don't know how they're going to change. We don't know how their relationships, what's going to transpire, whether you want to move and all this stuff. Like you are set to these standards now. Mobility is less. You're going to have to be around his child. You can no longer accept career opportunities, or maybe you can, but now you have to talk to him about it. Is that a life you really want to choose, of restriction, boundaries, sacrifice, as opposed to freedom, sexy, fun, and travel, and But my theory on that, if this is real life and not paid actors just playing something out to make society programmed to a specific type of love, which part of me feels that some of it is, because these are specific relationship dynamics which they are trying to promote in the society that we have right now with the Trump administration. Just saying. But the thing is, they want women to be okay with accepting a dusty dude and not anyway, what I was getting at is, if real life, this is actually real life and not paid actors, my theory that she picked Jordan is because biologically Megan was born without reproductive organs. She has a very strong Adam's apple and Y chromosome hips. The face, the head, the skull, it's kind of in that in-between. It kind of looks like a male cranium, but the head is harder to tell. But there's a definite strong Adam's apple. The point being, Jordan had a vasectomy and he already has a child. All of those factors show that she never has to tell him whether or not she was born a male, because she can blame it all on the fact his vasectomy doesn't work. It didn't re-stitch up, or unless he gets someone else pregnant and then she finds out he's cheating. Also, he already has a child, so she doesn't feel guilty about keeping him from that. So that is why I feel partially why she picked Jordan now. But now we're seeing some complications with the money. She says she never wants to skimp on a house. She takes him to a house that she can afford, no problem, not even thinking, not even blinking. She's wealthy. And then his macho ego, even though, here's how that could have worked. If she bought the house outright, kept it in her name, signed a prenup, then get married, that would be how that situation could work. Except that he will always resent her because he couldn't do that himself. There are loads of red flags in that relationship, and I'm very baffled about how, if this is a real life relationship, how that even, like, my only theory is because of the Adam's apple and the children and all of that, it made it a safe choice. If she had picked the other fella who could have children and would expect that, it would be more pressure. So essentially, as far as a non-pressure existence, it's less pressure to deal with a sick child and have him love you for that caring than having to explain why you're infertile. But we'll see where that goes, because of the fact that Jordan's machismo will not let him let her purchase the house. We'll see if that will break them apart, because he is bringing her down. And ladies, this is why you don't necessarily want, well, I'm not saying necessarily, you do not want to date down. Love was made for the man who had no property, no wealth, to get a woman. It was a way to trick her into falling for him, marry him, and then destroying her. I'm just being realistic. Struggle love does not make you a better person by choosing it. It makes you, maybe the passion or the lust fills you for the moment, and yes, experience that, have it, fine. Everyone should have their memories that they choose, but don't attach to it, don't commit to it, don't marry it, don't get knocked up, don't have a child with it. So many lives, so many women are ruined because of those things. And that's all I'm going to say on that. If Megan chooses this, that is on her. That is her choice. She chose that above being truthful to who she really is, which that will always keep you losing in a way. If you are not upfront with that, especially not with a life partner, you'd rather be alone and just play the field, have fun. I choose that. But yeah, anyway, so with that relationship, that's going to be interesting, because Jordan has a lot of limiting beliefs. He says he wants to teach Luca that he has to work for things. You're putting this box on your child when Megan could teach him so many other beautiful things that could help him grow, instead of seeing the positivity that Megan could bring into the life and the influence over your child. He wants to keep it real. And I have a problem with people who do that, because in order to manifest, you have to be delusional. You have to believe. You can't say, I can't do this because of that and that because of that. That's the 3D matrix. Anything is possible. It is. So don't put limiting beliefs on your children. Let them figure it out for themselves. Let them be who they want to be. Let them bring those things to them with the energy and the magic of a child. Do not restrict them, like Jordan's doing. Anyway, then we come to the biggest red flags, because they have, both these next men have symptoms of serial unaliving. Like, legit. This is serious. And even the other people even said they didn't mess with Nick. Something about Nick. I told you in the last episode that there's something in his eyes, the manner, the way he behaves, the way his temperature, his heartbeat doesn't increase, kind of like the Silence of the Lambs, the way he lies, his gaze, the way the whites in his eyes, all of those signs, you can see them. Anyway, here is the problem, is even serial unalivers have families, and they live not relatively normal lives, and hypothetically, that could have been Nick and Annie. They could have possibly created a lifestyle, because he would have given her what she wanted to see. He would have lied to her, he would have been whatever she wanted, and he would have done whatever he wanted in secret, whether it be cheating, unaliving. But the point is, Annie has the red wine lip stains, slurring your words, she's a little bit inebriated. Yes, you're kind of on holiday, but is that your real personality? Because if you know that you start chatting shit when you are piss drunk, don't drink and then have important conversations. Because the thing is, Annie keeps telling Nick, I don't need you, I want you. But she's saying it in a way where Nick takes it and says, I get it, you don't need me. And the tone in his voice lets me know, and like I keep repeating on here, ladies, they will keep you, they will take you back. But if you hurt a fella, if you humiliate a fella, if you break a fella, even if you build a fella up, and then remind him of it. He will wait for the right moment where he can tear your life apart. He will stay with you long enough to find out all of your weak spots. He will get the secret code and all of the passwords, and he will find a way to devastate your life. And that is why, when she actually said the words, "My life will not fall apart without you," watch his reaction. Watch his visceral response, because in his head at that moment, he made the decision, oh yeah? Well, I'm going to show you that it will. And that moment, you see in his eyes and you see in his energy, he is now planning to ruin her. Because she said she doesn't need him. She said her life won't fall apart without him. So he's going to be like, oh yeah? Let's see. They could have had that serial killer, Pleasantville life. Probably neither one is going to be good, but to be honest, him devastating her at the altar would be better. It's temporary, just like the other ones. To be honest, I hope all of them say no, because the women are the ones who will suffer. The women, on all four of the couples, the women have the more money, the women are more emotionally stable, except for the fact that they are acting out because they feel that their fellas are really not into them. And the women are just quality, but they're just unfortunately put in a situation where they feel they need to be vulnerable and committed. And because of those two things, they are giving up their secrets and they are taking red flags and not dealing with them. That is the problem of the premise of this show, because they give you a level of commitment and expect you to act in a certain way, but they haven't earned it. It needs to be earned. Ladies, please. Yes, there's a time for fun. There's a time for all of these beautiful things. But for a relationship that you want longevity to last and to be committed, you need to keep it pure and you need to make them earn it. If nothing else, keep it pure, make them earn it. If you have hurt them, if you have done anything to devastate them, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, economically, just be careful. Always be prepared. Always know that there is a possibility. You may get that 1 in a million that will not retaliate. But whether it's 40 years, 10 years, 5 years, 60 years, even in death, they might leave something in the will that will mess you up, give everything to somebody else, put you out on the street. But somehow they will always get their revenge. Trust. Please. Be careful. Keep your relationships pure. And, yeah, if possible. But anyway, be careful of the things you say. Don't throw things at their face. Try to respect them. That is very important with a man. Respect women. They want to be valued. They want to be cherished. They want to be chaste. Men fancy respect. Respect. And you may not always want to or feel like it, but understand that is a love language to men. So, if you don't give it to them, even though it may be passive aggressive, it is like beating them. So if you want to keep that relationship healthy and committed and have longevity, pay attention to how you respect your partner. If it is a male. Always, but especially if it's a male. Now, we will see where that goes, because I do have a feeling that once she said those words, my life will not fall apart without you in it, he decided he was going to test that theory. Which brings us to Edmund and Calibria. They actually scare me very, 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 very much so, because although Nick has symptoms of being a serial unaliver, he will keep that under wraps, and he won't do it to his family. He will do it to other people. He will do it to whoever his people would be. And I'm not saying he is, but hypothetically, if it's just a feeling I get, but if he were, that is the situation he would have. He would keep a satisfied family at home to keep the cover, and they would do his stuff on the side. Now, Edmund don't care. Edmund has a little bit of a nutter quality to him. He was part of the system. He probably suffered a lot of abuse. He shows signs of dabbling with both sexes. He seems to go for the connection. Whoever sees him, whoever shows him attention, makes him feel heard. That is who I believe Edmund connects to. He fancies a family though, so he needs to be with a woman at this point. Apparently men are being able to have children now. But we'll see. I don't know if that's just an urban legend, but we'll see. But anyway, he suffered a lot of abuse, probably, most likely. I'm 80% sure, in the system. Possible SA was part of that. Now, because of his comments of being a nice guy and not and waiting for her to be ready to consummate the relationship, that is why I strongly believe he was SA'd. Probably by men. Men probably took that from him, and that is devastating. And because he experienced that, that's in his programming. And unfortunately, the violence and the trauma that he suffered is still inside of him. He has not healed. You can tell by his behavior. He is still stunted at the age mentally that those things happen to him, which is why he acts the way he does. He has those child behaviors because his brain is still mature-wise stunted, which is dangerous in an adult man with strength and mobility and access to weapons, and easily triggered is what I'm seeing. So, unfortunately, in my opinion, Calibria is probably the most likely to say yes. because the fact that she did not sense any red flags when he broke down crying and was going hysterically off about being a nice guy and he should have slept with her, that should have been a reason to leave. But she didn't. When he said that she didn't say nice things about him, another red flag. It's she seems willing to overlook all of that just to say that she has a fiance and that she wants to make a family. She is basically at the picking the best of the bad bunch type of mindset, unfortunately. I hope she breaks out of that, because he is definitely showing signs of being an abuser in all levels, unfortunately. And all of these women have stable lives. They are in good health. They are thriving. They are thriving. Please take a note. These women are all thriving on their own. They are choosing to be a part of a situation that will bring their thriving lower. All of them. Most of them financially. Nick, I believe, does have more money than Annie. Although she's a business owner, so I think they may be even. But she might also be a little bit more than him as well, because he has a rustic cabin. But his family has money. But anyway, his family has money. So that he may be a nepo baby or whatever, and that may be why he has that, that's how he, developed those traits or whatever, being neglected as a child maybe. But anyway, all of the women are financially better than the men. They're all emotionally more sound and stable. They are taking on dusties that trigger them, that drain their energy and limit their lifestyle, and then add responsibilities. Ladies, please, if you have a beautiful, healthy, enriching lifestyle, you can just date around. There's nothing wrong with dating around and having fun and enjoying your single life. Know that if you choose to attach your life to someone else's, please make sure that your quality of life, emotionally, physically, financially, all of those things, improves. You both should bring something to each other. Both of your lives should be enriched and improved. Otherwise, just have your fun and be done. Have your fun and be done. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. Society says women, whatever. This is 2025. Apparently, I don't even want to get it. They're saying that they're going to try to lower the age of consent and they're saying that young men are infertile and women are getting fertile earlier. So basically they're setting up a scenario where possibly old men are going to start impregnating the female children. I hope this is not something that foreshadows that, but we'll see. The point being, just protect yourself. You have a right to choose. You have a right to freedom, to self-sustaining freedom. You have that power. Not many generations of women have. We have that power. With great power comes great responsibility. Yes, it's a superhero, but it's true. Do not give your power to someone who doesn't deserve it, someone who hasn't worked for it, someone who is less than you. Take it, squander it, ruin you, so that you no longer have those things. Then take what you have given them, built them up, and go to someone else. Why would you do that? Why would you give someone that much power over your life, over your existence, over your experiences? It's not that deep. We're going to have robots. We don't need to have children and husbands to take care of us when we're ill. We will have robots. Please, people, understand this. We do not need to go through all this sacrifice to create a family to take care of us when we're old. That's the fear that society programs into you, so why you choose. We will have robots. We will have technology. It's here now. Please, make your decisions wisely. Keep yourself in the best possible frequency that you can at all times. And only those that resonate the same or increase yours do you give your time and energy to. Because then it's recycled as opposed to siphoned, and you're not drained. You're recharged. Pay attention to those things, and please choose wisely. Recognize the red flags and keep yourself in your best possible timeline. If you need help, contact me through my site. So the Golden Bachelor has survived another week, and unfortunately the older wrinkled ladies have not. Golden Bachelor is not really hiding the fact that he is going towards the more tighter, prettier looking ladies, and that's fine. It's fine. He is a man, and he is showing what his gender typically leans towards. So there's nothing wrong with that. The one surprise that I did have is that we found out is that the Golden Bachelor's father is a black man. That is surprising because he exhibits few, if none, of the characteristics, the features of someone of that race. It does explain the athletic skill. I'm just teasing. But yeah, that is an interesting thing, and it would be interesting to know if he was raised in the family with his father, and if he witnessed cheating behaviours, and if that is a possible reason why the wife really did leave. That is a whole nother theory, but that is something that that's an energy that I feel around that. As I said, no woman just leaves, so there is something that he is not willing to own up to or discuss. But anyway, the Golden Bachelor season is much shorter, I'm guessing, because they're not sure if it'll last the entire time. But the thing is, to be honest, I don't really see strong connections. No one's really standing out, shining. The only one really exhibiting red flags is him. So we'll see who gets through to him. It's interesting that even the women who are of the 5th, 6th, 7th decade are talking about going on the show and being influencers and, you know, social media and things like that. So it is interesting to see that these people are who they are regardless of what age they are, men and women. And that is an interesting thing to note, that unless they choose to change, you don't really change. So it has to be a conscious choice, and it's not something that can happen from somebody outside of you. Although those factors could affect it, you have to make that conscious decision. And it is looking like no one has really changed or matured or become golden. But it is very interesting, and that was a very interesting nugget of information, of learning that his father is black, because that does affect someone's energy, someone's aura. The trauma is passed down through your DNA, and his father, being a black male, probably in the US, has a lot of trauma in his DNA and would have passed that to him, which would also explain some of his behaviours. But anyway, and also if that is how he was with the mum, that would explain why he expects that of women. But we probably will not find that out. I'm not sure if they have hometowns. I'm not sure if they're even still alive. But yeah, this is a lot of eye-opening information which might affect the results of this. But yeah, let's keep watching and see if anything surprises us. Dancing with the Stars, it goes another week, and surprisingly, Hilaria Baldwin is the one who gets voted off or dumped. And the thing is, I don't know if it's her fan base or the fact that she was dancing with Gleb, because he is notorious for starting things with his dancers, and that's why I wasn't that bothered. Alec Baldwin may have had something to do with it, but that's just a theory. But anyway, the cream is rising to the top. You see the work, you see the connections, chemistry is coming out. Alex and Robert are my favourite. Alex the girl, the influencer, and I think Dylan's a good one as well. Well, actually, they're all starting to improve, but my tops are right now at this moment Alex and Robert. So boy, girl, maybe the final two. Hopefully, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'm very excited about this, and we'll see more of the connections and the teaching styles and all of that. Yeah, Dancing with the Stars is a great season this season. They've got a lot of great talent, and I'm very impressed at how these people are coming through, and they're just doing phenomenal. They're putting all of their energy into it. So let's see what they bring us next week. Survivor. This week of Survivor is a bit surprising, because Jake, the corrections officer, who I was talking about being down low with his tribe mate, gets bitten by a snake. I do believe that is the universe keeping him in line so he did not miss the birth of his child, and yeah, keep him from getting too into that relationship that he was having on the island. But anyway, it's great that Jake got to go home and see the birth of his son. Hopefully his son has a beautiful, sheltered life. He may come back for All Stars. They may bring him back for All Stars. But the interesting thing about that is their team still lost, and they still had to evict another member, which was devastating, because it was Jeremiah. Oh, Jeremiah, the sweet little angel, and he was so faithful. Oh, I have a soft spot in my heart for his demographic, and that was a hard one. That hurt. I was hoping it would be the other one that would go, and I wanted Sophie and Jeremiah to kind of ride through it, because they were the cutest couple. They could, but to be honest, as a woman, I support Sophie's decision in backstabbing Jeremiah, because sometimes as a woman, you kind of have to take care of yourself first, and that's what she did, and I support that. And anyone else, any other woman, anyone else, it is your experience. Always put you first. And yes, it is important to be loyal in these games until it is at the risk of you, because she knew, regardless of where that vote went, she had to show that she had his back, because the odds were he was going to stay. So unfortunately, to get closer to him, she had to vote out Jeremiah, the sweet little angel. So now they are down to 2. They will probably swap tribes, but the thing is that I wanted to note, the reason I believe that their specific teams are always the losing ones and certain teams are always the winning ones, if it's the authenticity. if you look at the members on each of the teams, the one that are most true to themselves and not hiding things from themselves, for example, Jake being DL and the other fellow on the team, and just a lot of things, it does make a difference. Your frequency, how you respond, how you work with others, how you engage with the world and the environment, your energy, your frequency has to be healed in order to project, or say it's a transponder radio, in order to get that signal and get your let's say you're looking for an NFL game on a radio and you're on a line and all this little radio and you have to dial it. If you don't get the right frequency, you'll just hear static. You might hear a few words every now and again, but you won't be able to follow it. You have to have a pure, clean signal and tune it just right in order for it to manifest. And it's the same with yourself. You have to get that true, clear signal frequency healed and authentic in order for you to be able to magnetize and pull the things that you want and manifest. And unfortunately, their tribe was full of a lot of people that were not 100% authentic within themselves. I'm not saying lying to each other. I'm talking about who you are, being in alignment with who you are. So unfortunately, that's what's going on there. Sophie, however, Sophie is the only one that is in alignment and authentic, the most from that tribe. And that is why she is surviving. That is why she's able to see clearly and navigate. But anyway, now that they are going to probably be switching up tribes, we will see how the others start to break apart, and we will see, because not everyone on the other two tribes that are healing are completely authentic. However, there are more authenticity on those tribes. It's kind of like the collective consciousness. If you have just maybe like 15 to 20% and the 5D, it will help support the 85%. I don't remember what percentages I said, but the rest of the collective in their frequency. It's a similar thing. That's what's happening on the tribes. Unfortunately, on their tribe, most of them were out of alignment. Sophie was the only one. And now she has the ability to thrive because she has gone through all of those trials and tribulations. She's seen tribal council. She's been through it. She's strategized. She's played the game. Now they're breaking apart. She's still in alignment, and now she has all these skills. I'm rooting for Sophie. Right now, Sophie is my number one. But we will see how things start to break apart and blossom, because now others are going to be challenged, because now they are all good. Someone else has to start to lose. Someone has to be the loser, unfortunately. So we will see how this breaks apart. Riz Scott is still have my eye on him. I think he will sprout very quickly. But right now, Sophie is my number one. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm very excited to see. The Amazing Race Big Brother edition is interesting because I don't know if it's because they are all from Big Brother, that they already have these communication and working together skills, or they just work well together. Because it's interesting, there are no real red flags popping up. They are all very cohesive. Even the teams are working within each other because they all know each other, they're friends. So this is a very interesting edition of Amazing Race. It is fun to watch. It is interesting to see how they are playing it similarly to how they play Big Brother. So that is an interesting thing of programming. Once you learn a certain programming, do you continue to repeat it through all your systems? That will be interesting to see if that method works throughout the entire thing, and if some of the partner skills and red flags start to show. At this moment, they are working very cohesively, even though I still question Taylor and what's his name, Kylan's relationship. It still seems a little bit superficial. I don't see the depth there just yet. Maybe something will happen on this excursion, who knows. But right now, everyone is very loving with each other. Everyone is doing very well. Unfortunately, sometimes they get stunted and then they don't make it to the end of the race. But as far as their relationship skills, their working together skills, they're doing great. So that says something about the contestants from Big Brother that they choose. It says something about Amazing Race. It says something about the people that they are able to choose in their life that support them. That's a very great thing. But yeah, it is still great, and we'll see if any red flags emerge, and if they do, we'll discuss them. And let's talk about it next week. Cheers.
Okay, this week's movie recommendation is The Lady in Cabin 10. It is a film starring Keira Knightley, and I'm always a big fan of Keira Knightley. She is an amazing actress. She is one of the few female actresses that I wouldn't say following in the footsteps of, because I believe they came up around the same time, I'm not sure what the timelines are, but she is very similar to Angelina Jolie, where they can lead an action thriller. No male lead, and that is exciting. I love her also, especially because my celebrity lookalike more photos said that I am closely matched to her, and if you look at it, you can kind of see it. She did, I have a little bit more fullness in places, but it says we have a similarity. I'll maybe put a little screenshot so you can see that, so it doesn't seem a little bit crazy. But anyway, I I've always been a great fan of hers, and because of that, I feel more closely connected to her. It may just be an English thing. They may feel that our faces are. Anyway, the point being is, this film is a thriller. It is. Keira Knightley is on a boat and a yacht and a party of millionaires. It is private, and she sees some things, and someone from her past is there, and you don't know whether she can trust them or not, and some things happen, and they try to convince her that she's crazy and that she didn't see them because it does not fit their agenda. There's a little bit of twist, you know. She does, as I'm so proud, she's a strong woman, she is sound, and she believes in her own facilities, and she does not believe that when they tell her that she is crazy, which you should always trust in yourself. Always trust in yourself. The point being, I don't want to tell you the whole premise, but she obviously ends up, you know, getting to where she needs to get. I'll just put it that way. It is very fun, fast-paced. It is, with Keira Knightley, always a great script, always great scenery, beautiful. She looks amazing. She's just such a great actress. She fills every moment on the screen with something. It's just rich, it's full. Like, you can't look away. I just love her work. All of it, from Bend It Like Beckham all the way till now. She is just an amazing artist, and I am strong supporter of Keira Knightley, and the fact that she is able to dominate what would be a male lead. She can carry a film, you know, on her own, and I am very strong and supportive of those strong female leads. And yeah, so go support her and her film and her body of work and the lady in cabin 10. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.
If you don't want to get touched, keep scrolling. If you're down to feel the love, give it up for Virolga Lilani.
I love gay men. I'm at the point to always have at least one gay boyfriend. At least one. They're not jealous. They don't mind if you have multiples. In fact, they prefer it. It's great. I'm surrounded by muscles, tight clothes, gelled hair and perfume. And they always sparkle like the vampires from Twilight. And I know they can defend us because they also take jiu-jitsu and spend loads of time in the gym. They strive to be aesthetically perfect, and most of them are. And they love to get intoxicated and dance, something that I myself also enjoy.
Yes.
And sometimes they let you hit. No way! I don't try this at home. Results will vary. I'm 5'11" and athletic. The nights out, you know. What? I'm not a predator. I just smell good.
And soft skin, new girlfriend.
And check out the latest from Aglorev Entertainment for all of your level up needs.